Hello,
Hello.
y'all.
Hello.
Hey.
I am caffeinated.
I should have re-upped on caffeine again, but I've already re-upped once today, so maybe not. But we'll see what happens.
Who knows what I'm going to say today?
I sure as hell don't know what I'm going to say, so. I have some like vague ideas, but I can't say that any of it's. I'm just like, I'm just gonna see what vibe I pick up on, you know?
I'll see where the vibe takes me. All right. Well, I don't even know. Like, this is such a raggedy intro because I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. We're also recording on Saturday night instead of Sunday. So it's like the end of the day as opposed to like towards the beginning. So we're just out here, y'all.
And I just want to say I appreciate you guys' flexibility. I've
Anytime.
been today and tomorrow, I'm going through some training to learn how to respond to emergencies. And I'm learning that I freak out. Do you guys hear that?
Is that a sideshow?
It's a motorcycle.
Oh. I mean, we're in Oakland, so I was like, it could be a nighttime sideshow.
Yeah. So I'm learning how to be as a community emergency response team member. And so I spent the day at a training facility for firefighters and learning how to rescue people in case of a huge earthquake or, you know, if they're bleeding out, broken leg, all that good stuff. And, you know, I need a lot more practice. I just think, right now somebody might end up, seriously hurt if they relied on me today. So, but, it's all good. I'm trying to learn and, someday I will be proficient and I can save y'all's lives if you needed to.
Well, Finn learned how to take a pulse between Peter, August, and Chase. So I'm sure that you can do it as well.
But the thing is, he's supposed to be a doctor, so I'm random Joe Schmo.
Like, you've had your one training. Finn allegedly has gone through medical school and medical detective school and infectious disease school.
This is the second time that man has been a doctor. You can't take a pulse.
And still didn't get it right. So I should give myself some more slack, I guess.
Give yourself more grace.
Mm-hmm. I really should. But how was everyone's week?
How was it? I don't know. A lot of a week. It
was full of days. 7 of them. 7 days.
In fact.
Yeah. Lots of days. I can only remember today, actually. So that's why I was like hoping you guys could fill in, but you know
what days I can remember? The days of General Hospital.
Yes.
Y'all ready for this recap?
So ready. Please. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Here we go. So Britt, using her rich people Tinder, has her major storyline being her dating life. We saw her going through her matches with Brad. We saw her getting stood up on her date as scheduled. Luckily, both she and Drew are Kim magnets and they share a flirty-ish drink together. Selena Wu told Curtis that Hat Daddy was never in witness protection. In exchange for his file from the Baltimore PD, she had her first poker night at the Savoy with Brad as host. Hat Daddy found out that the jazz job at Aurora was fake. He confronted Drew, and when he was headed out of town, Curtis stopped him. Now, I have never cared for the storyline, but it definitely hit a low point when they had Hat Daddy scatting at the gym with TJ. It was just not giving what it was supposed to give. Anna, Felicia, Robert, and Laura meet at what I am calling Anna Manor to discuss the Ice Princess and Luke's death. And Alicia catch up Robert and Laura on Jennifer Smith's arrest, and everyone questions if Jennifer Smith could actually have pulled this off and what Victor's role is. Robert pushes Anna to use her relationship with Valentine to learn more, Robert refuses to call him Valentine, which is one of my favorite things. And Laura's face when she hears about the relationship, second favorite. Speaking of Valentine, he shows up to Anna Manor with a bottle of wine and an apology. They talk about Peter's death as foreplay, and they share a very steamy kiss. Alexis had a busy week. She had a visit from Valentine herself, who talks to her about using the invader to boost the Cassidines. On her way to Spoon Island, she stumbles on the body of Neil's brother, which he had it coming. After being questioned by the police, she heads to the Metro Court and sees a post-murder Harmony on a bender, but still looking like a vision. Go ahead, Harmony. Sam and Carly help with Harmony, and Alexis gets her home. They have a strange conversation, and when Sam and Carly show up to drop off Harmony's car, Harmony says something strange to Carly about Willow not being her family, which piques Caroline's interest. After Harmony sleeps it off, she snaps on Alexis about the Nina story that's coming out from Smoltz, causing Alexis to reconsider their living arrangement. Elsewhere, Esme and Nicholas live up to their ship name, Ick, and have some very uncomfortable interactions at Windermere. The robbers who hit up Charlie's bake bail, and we see Sunny threatening one of them while he is tied up in a trunk. I guess this means Sunny is back, or so I hear. Portia and Liz clash and then make up at work, offering each other support. But Portia goes off on Jordan and accuses her of still having feelings for Curtis, which Jordan does not deny. Speaking of Liz, her youngest child is now a Ouija board wielding ghost hunter who outsmarts Officer Chase. Chase is now sleeping on Elizabeth's couch, trying to catch the intruder. And when he gets up to check out a disturbance, he gets knocked unconscious. Ned adopts Leo officially, and there's a party at the Q Mansion. There's a talk of merging ELQ and Aurora, which no one cares about, or at least I don't care about. But Sam and Dante have a very cute makeup session where they speak about the relationship in a very mature way and makeup. And Chase shows up late and fresh from the hospital with flowers for BLQ. Finally, in the latest installment of Spencer's plan, he and Cameron get arrested. Cam for hitting Spencer, Spencer for hitting Officer Rory. Rory decides not to press charges on Spencer, and he is released to Laura. That was the week, y'all. How did you feel about it, and what were some of your fave moments?
I thought overall the week was pretty entertaining. I think especially it was nice to have like Brad and Britt, and also like Brad and Selena featured more. Always gonna love anytime. I appreciate how much Selena was like just kind of sprinkled throughout the week, like every week. Put her on contract. But I appreciated like the entertainment value of like the Cameron, Spencer, Rory stuff. Even though of course we'll talk more about that, but then also like how entertaining the Harmony stuff has been. So it wasn't like a whole lot of stuff moved, but I appreciated how I consistently felt like I came away from the episodes where I was like, for the most part, entertained, even if I didn't love everything that happened.
Yeah. Shout out to Murder Bay, Harmony. Tanya, what about you?
I have to agree. There was definitely some moments of entertainment this week. I think I liked this week better than last week. My favorite, I would have to agree with Sandra. Harmony being all over the place was entertaining. Spencer being Spencer was hella entertaining. But I also appreciated, and I think I tweeted Elise about one of them. I appreciated the mamas being mamas, particularly, Portia, reacting to natural stress of having her daughter go through this really serious situation and going off. But, she apologized, which I guess is, where, the good upbringing comes from. But I mean, I kind of felt she was right. I mean, especially when it came to Jordan. Um, and then also, Laura, you know, bringing up Black mama vibes. All are just like, don't you dismiss me. I mean, that was pretty really great. And so I loved all of that. And I also, love having Vanna back together. And I love having, the vets coming together to, try to solve the whole Victor issue. So yeah.
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 Vanna was I can't believe I didn't say this. Vanna was my favorite moment.
Right.
I like there was so many great moments throughout the week, but that was like I have to keep watching this over and over and over again. And anytime you're watching JPS and Finola together, like you just know you're gonna really get something different every time you watch them, because there's so much in also what they don't speak in the dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, as of course I was eager to hear about them debriefing Peter's death, and like, because there's something about Anna processing it with Valentine in particular that I was wanting to see. And so for her to name, that all she wanted to do, like all she wanted to see when she looked up from Peter dying was Valentine, not only was really powerful for us, but like Valentine was like shook.
Yeah.
And I appreciated Anna's vulnerability. And also how Valentine like kind of was like, damn, I've fucked up. Because he's holding this big secret from her and he can't, she's saying, I wanted to see you. All I wanted to see was you. She's asking him, do you want something more, when he made the joke about being just her compatriot. And he could tell he was just like, she invited him to like stay and drink the wine with her. Oh my God, bottle of wine got a lot of mileage in terms of subtext. And that he had to be like, no, I mean, I want to, but I can't. And her kind of seeing like, that was like her confirmation, like, you've been up to something.
Yeah. Yeah. You want some bullshit.
So, and then of course there's the moment when, like you hear the knock on the door and you know that he's coming back. But when he came back for the kiss, shout out to Finola, because that she like,
she owned it.
Created that whole thing.
Yeah, Corey. Yeah.
Perfect.
I was gonna say that what I really loved, I mean, obviously I love the kiss, but what I specifically appreciated was how well Anna and Valentine like speak each other's like love languages. So it was like when Valentine told her that he wished that he was there, he made sure to be like, I know you had it, but I wanted to be there. Because I think that so often with characters like Anna, and we see this in a lot of the other women's storylines, like the men try to step over them. And Valentine's like, let me be really clear. I know you didn't need me. I wanted to be there. And I thought that was really important. And then to Sandra's point about Anna saying, I wanted to see you, it was like, yeah, boo, when I'm done with like my hard day of making hard decisions, I want to look up and see you. I don't actually need you there beside me. I don't need you to like do it with me. I need to be, I just want to see you after, like to be my comfort. And Valentine is not intimidated by that. He doesn't feel a way about that. And so while Vanna, like sometimes, especially when they were happening at the beginning, we were like, this isn't gonna work. We're like, oh wait, no, this actually uniquely works with the two of them because they understand each other in a way that nobody else understands each other. So I really appreciated, obviously, the kiss. I mean, we could talk about that forever, but those other little subtle moments with them.
Mhm. I also appreciated that, he was definitely unapologetically wanting Peter to be dead. And and said that, if he was there, he would have enjoyed that last breath. And I love the fact that, Anna, again reiterated there's no judgment between the two of them. They accept each other for who they are. And so, Valentine being sketchy as he wants to be is still appreciated by Anna. And I love that. And I love the fact that I was going to talk about this on, what's working, but I love the fact that Valentine's got something going on. He's got a mystery, and it could be sketchy as all get out, but I love the intrigue and the mystery of it all. So, and I love the fact that, um the actor James Patrick, he could be out there, doing his own thing, but he still has a deep and viable story. Like, they're not giving him some fluff to kind of work through. And so I appreciate, GH for that, recognizing how important an actor he is, and that, and how important he is to Anna and, Finola. And so having that dynamic be super important is great. So I like that.
Before you get into Performer of the Week, my other favorite moment was Britt and Brad, and him being like, talking about Jason, and Britt was like, Jason was not a hired killer, and Brad was like, right, that was a steady job. Like, and I appreciated it because, first of all, it was funny, but what I'm also like, why is GH acting like Britt is not Faison and Liesel's kid?
Right.
Jason did not show Britt a whole new world. As a matter of fact, Jason Quartermain, Britt probably could show you some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like a very weird, like, oh, you learned danger from Jason. Selena Wu is holding some danger over her head. Like, I don't know, but I did appreciate that exchange.
Jason was full-time exempt. He was FTE hitman. He wasn't
right. He had benefits.
Yeah.
But no interns.
No interns.
He's someone who would, he never learned how to delegate, and that was his downfall. So let this, it's a cautionary tale. You got to learn how to delegate.
That's why Sunny's flailing in the wind. You're not thinking about, your future prospects. Tanya.
Got a succession plan.
Right. He didn't train his potential successor. There was a tweet about how these employers just went off on people, on the remaining employees, because 3 of them quit at the same time. And they had this rule that everyone has to give 3 months notice, and that they actually have to take a pay cut while they're on 3 months. I was just like, what the hell? It just reminded me of that whole conversation of employer, and just, how weird Jason is.
Before you go to Crete, you need to train someone, because you might die.
Exactly. Who's going to take your place? Who's going to do the work that you normally do?
Brando.
Apparently it's Brick, but I'm still waiting for Trina to be exonerated. So,
right. And Spinelli.
Yeah. They're definitely not stepping up. And not that I want to give Jason credit of being able to solve the problem, because that's just something that the writers just do. But, they're not up to par. So,
who are your performers of the week?
Well, and because they elicited the great performances that I talked about in my favorite moments, I want to give it up to Inga Condrenel for Harmony just being all over the place. She was nervous at the fact that she murdered somebody. She got drunk and acted hella crazy, and then she gets home on the day after, she's hella demanding and was like, look, you're gonna kill this story because you owe me. Like, and just was really all up in her face. She wasn't shy about it. She's like, you owe me, bitch. You better do this right now. And just did not give any F's at all. And I was just like, the kind of all over, like, she wasn't as even keel as she normally is. Just, like, yeah, take some time, think about it, or you don't have to, or all that good stuff that she normally was. She was all over the map, and that was entertaining, great acting, kudos. My second would be Brooke Kerr with Portia. Again, just the reaction, being a mom who's being stressed out at work, going off on Jordan, even though I feel she had every right to, because I don't think Jordan is really doing the job that she could be doing. But hey, that's my personal opinion. And hey, she admitted she still has feelings, but I don't necessarily believe those feelings come into play in the fact that she's doing such a horrible job. But I still think it's a factor. And so Portia has every right to feel insecure in that tip. And but she was apologetic too, and she realized, okay, maybe I could have handled this better, but so anyway, Brooker, yay, always good job, love you. And of course, gotta give it up to our boy Nicholas Chavez. Oh my god, Spencer being Spencer. I mean, that man knows his character. It's just like, oh my god, it was amazing. I love it. But I had to lift up the ladies first, because I always give it up to Nicholas Chavez every week. And I'm noticing that. So
Nicholas will be fine.
Yeah, he'll be all right. But yes, he was amazing. Loved it.
I wanted to, and Sandra could attest, I wanted to jump through the screen and smack the hell out of Spencer. I was like, Trinity, you don't check on him. You don't do anything for him. He's going to jail. And Sandra was like, Tracy, he's going to jail.
Carceral Tracy. I never would have thought it would happen.
I'm like, abolish prisons. I'm like, go your ass to jail, Spencer. I've had enough. Like,
right, he needs to be in jail. Oh, but I also want to give shout out to Jeannie Francis going off on him. Love that.
It was the only thing that made him tolerable at the end of the week. Because it's something about Laura going off on Cassidy men. They all have the same exact look of shame. Like, damn, Laura really got us, huh? Like, whether it's grandmother, like, who could ever imagine that Laura would like joke about Valentine dating anyone that she cared about? You know what I'm saying? Like, considering their history, Nicholas, like everybody, like she goes off on the Cassidy men, and thank God Laura's the only person who could put them in their place. My God.
No, I tweeted about it. I was like, I almost went to my room to pick out a belt because I felt like she was about to beat somebody's. I was like,
really reminded me of when Lucky confronted her after she returned, when he found out about Luke raping her, and how he was so incredibly out of pocket.
Right.
And she finally was just like, listen, I know you're upset, but I'm your mother, and you actually don't get to judge me about the decisions I made in my life. And I was like, ooh, Laura, yes.
Yep.
So I loved that so much. I loved their dynamic. And I also loved when Spencer was giving that awful apology to Rory, just awful.
Yeah.
What?
What are you talking about?
And Laura being like together in the background, and Rory just being like, what the hell is happening? Look at this fucking kid.
It was the two whats for me.
What?
What did I do?
Sorry. I just kept repeating his name like he actually was my child. Like when I was watching, I was like, Spencer Cassadine. I was too upset to even throw in all the names. And that's when you know I'm upset, when I can't even say all the names.
I do want to like go back to like Inga and really appreciate Harmony. So to your point, all the things about Inga, like the range going from, because I think that, we have Harmony apologize, and I don't even feel like we need to apologize for her a lot. And I personally think that they were going to do Harm Lexus and then got cold feet. So for me, it makes me like cold feet, no Neil pun intended, of, cold feet. Anyway, so for me, I triple down on liking Harmony, because I did actually believe her redemption arc. I did believe that like she was sorry, that she was trying to be better. And nothing about what has happened in the last few weeks changes that belief for me. She is a woman who is desperate. She is a woman who is like trying to protect her family, her secret, her child. And she's playing every beat of that for me. Inga has been playing every beat of that for me. I believe the desperation. I believe that she cares for Alexis and she loves Willow, and that she actually does want her life to be right. And she's making these really awful decisions. I mean, well, kind of awful. She's making these decisions, and it's in line. Like there was a poll. Shout out to our friend Susie, who put up a poll. It was like, Harmony or Nina? I'm trying to see something. And at first it was like kind of funny, but like, no, Harmony is more of a developed character than Nina is. I actually understand Harmony's motivation more than I understand Nina's. And that all comes from the way that she's played by Inga. So I just think that she needs to be praised as an actress for the range that she's putting into that character.
Definitely. Yeah, she really grounds Harmony in her humanity, no matter what Harmony is doing. Like honestly, the hardest thing for me to watch Harmony do was obviously not killing those men, because I loved that. It was when she tried to get Alexis to drink, and I was like, that was the one thing where I was like, ooh, I can't apologize for that. But I appreciated the horror that she experienced when she was sober the next day and she found out that she did that. And just like the whole hangover moment too, of like, when you wake up, it's like she's like waking up from this bender, but she's also waking up from this murder bender. And like the parallels there. And she's been given some very
murder bender.
I tweeted something that was like, I think I was replying to Susie, because Susie and I talk about Harmony all the time. That's our wife. But I was like, is there such a thing as like murder hair of the dog, where like you just like keep murdering so you don't feel how like your murder hangover? You know, like how you keep drinking so you don't feel your hangover.
Okay.
So, you know, just keep. I have a list for you. I said it's a honey-do list for Harmony. If she
honey kill list.
Kill list.
Yeah, we talked
like
about
Kill Bill,
time, right? Like you want her to kill
Smoltz, which it looks like, you know, he's on her radar, at least since he's writing the article.
Oh, that would be amazing if she just did go on a murder binge.
And that actor that plays Smoltz is like very funny on Twitter. And I was like, oh, you seem, you know, kind of adorable. Maybe see if they'll bring you back as someone who's not trash. I don't know. You gotta go. Smoltz gotta go.
Smoltz gotta go.
He's gotta go.
But yes, Inga. I love Inga. She's so great. She's such a thoughtful actor.
But he can't go before he writes the article. Because I need that article.
I want that article to be real. Right. I don't want it to be just something they talk about. I want them to publish that article and I want to be able to read it.
Yes. Don't put it on a cell phone and we're like trying to look at the cell phone. No.
Release the whole article, GH. I'm telling you, I need it.
Or have someone read the article so we can hear it, you know, because don't be like putting on a small screen and we're trying to watch it. No.
Release a small audiobook.
Okay.
A Life and Times of Nina Reeves. But yes, Inga's amazing.
Like, you know how I feel about Nina. So,
No, because it's gonna be trash. It's gonna be trashing Nina.
It's gonna be great.
Oh, like the article she did about Ava when they weren't friends?
Yeah.
But she is not gonna get the sexy photo shoot. Because I loved that photo shoot.
Oh yeah.
I'm here for it.
So where are you? Oh, are we talking about what's working? Is that what we're
We went on a Harmony bender. So
Harmony bender, murder bender. You know,
that is part of what's working for me.
A murder bay bender.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What else? I think, okay, so I'll go. What's working? I really love that they're building on the relationship between Cameron and Spencer. The writing for Spencer's plan, I'm still definitely calling it a plan in quotes because this is not a plan.
Not a plan.
I think Tara said on the Port Misery podcast that this weekend that it was like all vibes, no plot. All vibes, no plot. And I think there's just no better way to describe this stupid ass plan.
Definitely a vibe check. That's all the plan is.
It's all it is. It's just like, I'm just gonna like put some energy out into the universe that I would like to maybe like catch Esme doing something. That's not
manifest.
I'm gonna manifest it. I'm gonna make a vision board.
It's like vibes that no one knows about, but I'm gonna put it out there.
Yeah, and it's like the vibes we're actually putting out there are like Jocelyn filmed herself and released it.
Ooh.
That's not, I don't think,
No,
you're not doing a very good job manifesting. And then on the other hand, then we have Cameron, who has known this secret less than 24 hours and is like, I can't take it anymore. It's pure comedy. It's pure comedy. And so I'm really like looking at their story as the comic relief for the week. And it was like that when I was able to watch it like that, I was highly, highly entertained.
Yes.
And I also like that we get, when we have Cameron and Spencer together, and particularly in these scenes, like we both get a window into the history of the characters and like what their dynamic has been in the past. So, adversarial, bickering, they have a really strong distaste for each other. They're very different people.
Right.
We also like get a sense of how it's changed since Spencer came back. They actually do have a lot of affection for each other and they're strangely protective of each other. Like I appreciated that Spencer was just like, I'm dropping the charges, and like how he even him accidentally hitting Rory was actually a result of him getting agitated and about Cameron getting in trouble too. So like you could and like how Cameron didn't want to leave when he was allowed to go because he wanted to make sure Spencer was okay. Like those little moments, but along with them like mutually dragging each other. I loved those scenes in the jail when like Kim was just like, this plan is dumb as hell. And Spencer was like, well, you can't keep your big mouth shut. It's like the right balance between the two of them. And I think there is something about seeing Spencer in his familial relationships that aren't Cassadine relationships that are really important, that ground him in a way that it doesn't have to always be Trina grounding him, because that's a lot of grounding to do for someone this fucking extra. So it's like, it's really important for him to have these other relationships in his life, especially when GH has been doing not a great job with keeping up with all the different relationships in the different characters' lives. They're not like mining that for like the richness that there is. So I'm very happy to see it continue with Spencer and Cameron, and also like seeing the ways that they're both also different with Laura. Like Laura is very soft with Cameron in a way that she's not always with Spencer. I didn't like her glossing over though that like she was like, Cameron's not a violent guy. Cameron's been arrested more than Spencer has for pointing a gun at the police commissioner. Please. All right, whatever. And but she is harsher, or like she has had to take more of a parental role in Spencer's life, and that's like very apparent in their dynamic. There's also other things that Laura has said this week that I was like, but I'm sure we'll talk about that more, her trusting the system, but then, flexing her power indirectly to get her grandsons out. But overall, I appreciated what those relationships bring to the story and bring to Spencer as a character, but also bring to Cameron, because Cameron needs someone outside of Jocelyn, needs someone outside of Trina, and the roles that he plays with them to be a little bit, I don't know, more fleshed out as a character. And he gets to be different with Spencer than he is with the girls, and I think that's important too.
Yeah, I mean, I've always really liked the Cam Trina friendship. I've always been very invested in it. But it's something different when you're dating a person in your circle. Like Trina and Joss have a relationship that is independent of Cameron, and so the relationship that Cameron has with Trina has to change. And I think that that's, you know, so I do like that for Spencer and for him as characters. I'll say that for me, just kind of on the friendship train, what's worked for me is the friendship between women characters. So I really adore the friendship between Trina and Joss. I know that folks were like kind of upset this week, or at least I saw that on the timeline, that Joss was like speaking over Trina. I think those were writing choices. I think that Joss had the appropriate energy for Spencer, because we have to remember like what she knows. So like you're standing there and this boy accuses you and your best friend of recording yourself and putting out a tape of it, to frame your girlfriend. Like, I mean, it was just like so absurd. Like, of course that's the energy. And so when Joss was that way with the book and telling Esme, I was on the like, Josh, you want some bullshit train. I think here, this, because that was purely about Sprina, and that was like not her place to do. This is not like a straight line to Sprina. This is actually her life as well. And so him like, you know, defending Esme and blaming Trina is not something that she stays out of, because it's actually about like something that happened to her. And so I just felt like she had the appropriate energy for him. So, but I think that friendship is like really important. I'll talk a little bit more about Trina and what's in her writing in a little bit. But the other thing I loved, the Anna and Felicia friendship. There's the really small moment of us seeing at Anna's house, that they removed that picture of Peter, and there's a picture of her and Felicia up. And I just, I really love that friendship has been going on for so long, and they've had ups and downs, but they've like remained in each other's lives and had each other's backs. And then I really love, obviously, like the Car Sam friendship. I really, really hope this is not a way to create like future drama for Carly and Drew. I hope this is actually like something that they're trying to flesh out, and that Carly is actually like a support for Sam. I appreciated this week her asking Sam like how her relationship was, getting a little bit of point of view from her, because I think that's one of the best things about soaps is having those friendships. We've been watching Days a lot, and I appreciate like the old Johnny Zakara plays a character over there, and it's like once a week there's a scene of him and another guy like having a beer together and like talking about life and processing their storylines. And so I think that that's really important exposition that also helps build relationships down the line. And so for me, like seeing those relationships be built, because a lot of times GH does things just for plot's sake, seeing like actual relationships be built has really been good for me. What about you, Tanya?
Well, I talked a lot about what was working for me, you know, the vets working on the investigation, and how Valentine is, you know, doing his own thing. And I'm just really curious about what the mystery is, and just wondering about, I think we talked a little bit about the relationship between Victor and Valentine, and it seems like Valentine is kind of working in Victor's favor, but I'm wondering how much of it is an actual partnership. Like, how much does Victor know that Valentine is doing this, or what? Or if is Valentine just doing it on his own? Because I mean, not only has he been involved with the whole Luke affair, I mean, he went to Alexis because he felt like he needed to have a media company for the Cassadines, because and he said that, you know, my father agrees. So I'm just like, so is your dad putting you up to this or what? So it's interesting, and I'm liking seeing that relationship kind of evolve in a way. So that's really interesting to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Another thing that's working for me, again, just Vanna together is also, I mean, I think that's the couple right now. I mean, outside of, you know, Sante's great, but right now the couple to watch right now is Vanna, and so I love seeing them together, and I love that it's not just a straightforward romance. There's intrigue in there because they're, you know, they're both spies per se, and even though I think Robert was trying to put Anna up to, you know, using Valentine, and Anna doesn't quite know what's going on, but we know that there's a mystery and we know there's an intrigue, and that might cause drama or it might not. But I like that. I like that, having that happen. Like they have their own little thing. And I actually, this week, even though I'm still mad that Spinelli is on the campus not doing the job that he's supposed to be doing, I did like seeing Spinelli and Maxie together. I love seeing them together. They're always great together. I was a little confused about the whole, you know, matchmaking thing, because I wasn't quite sure. It was like almost think that Spinelli was supposed to be Britt's date, but he never came out and said it, or they never did. And maybe I fast forwarded. I don't know. But sorry, Laura Wright. But you didn't quite know what was going on. He just had an inordinate interest in Britt's date, and so it made me think that maybe he was the date that she was supposed to meet. But he, you know, put Maxie first as always. So it was interesting, but it was good to see them together because they work great together, and so I was glad to see that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I too would like a Spixie reunion. You know, especially as they push, or they have been pushing this Austin and Maxie pairing. Yeah. Then seeing her, like, if we're not supposed to want her with Spinelli, they shouldn't show us.
Right.
Their chemistry is still really great. They're really great. Like when that moment when she was like, you know, he was trying to talk her down from going to go spy on Britt's date, and then he was like, he finally was just like, let's go, and they both were giggling, running off. I was like, I miss this dynamic between them, even as friends. But I would like to see Spixie as adults, together, because they were so young when they were together the first time, and now they have their biological child together, but plus, you know, Spinelli and Mac have been raising, you know, Maxie's kids anyway. And I will say, Austin just clearly does not have the schedule to provide the proper child care that Maxie requires in a partner. So how's he supposed to be raising, you know, Maxie's kids with a schedule like this? It's just not going to work.
I agree.
I thought you said he doesn't have a proper schedule just to maintain someone as she's not necessarily high maintenance, but to maintain a relationship with Maxie, period. I mean, he stood her up how many times? You know, it's just like, no, Maxie needs someone that's not on emergency and not going to stand her up.
Maxie needs a work from home boo who can watch your kids.
And there you go.
Be ready when she needs to go out.
That's right.
And Britt needs to date another doctor, which she's already said, who has the same kind of like schedule and priorities as her. We figured it out for y'all. G8, make it happen.
Basically. So let's transition to what's not working. And I think you guys probably know what's not working for me. Hat Daddy. Okay, so
for you, you don't like Hat Daddy?
You
didn't like the
shocking.
What's not working? The scatting. I was just like, what's really not working for me is Epiphany and Trina. Kind of, I think they used Epiphany and Trina to elevate the man, And I appreciate it. I mean, their scenes with him were, for them, great, phenomenal. Epiphany, they both told the truth about the man. He was being super hypocritical. And what I don't like about Hat Daddy's not so much the actor himself, it's the character he's playing. And the character he's playing triggers me at a personal level because he acts like a typical deadbeat dad, which I had in my life. So I'm seeing the behavior that my dad did, and it's pissing me off, right? He's being super hypocritical. He's making the him coming back to the family be on his terms. And when things don't go his way, he's gonna up and bounce. And again, traumatizing the family again because he's a spoiled, rotten brat, and I don't like it. And it needed to end. And I don't like, Epiphany and Trina doing what they do, giving great advice, being, sympathetic and all that. I don't like them being the ones to be like, hey, you should, stay and, be responsible or be the man you say you're going to be. No, because they got other things going on. Epiphany's supposed to be going to med school. She don't need to be lifting up this deadbeat dad. Trina, she's got, a trial coming up and she's in school. She don't need to be, begging the man to stay either. And he's not the appropriate person for her to be, talking to in the first place. Because apparently, I think he's a gangster and a dangerous one because he did go after that one gangster dude. He is scary and he does not need to be a role model for Trina at all. Okay, yeah. I went off. So I'm gonna let y'all go. Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all go into the whole Laura trusting the justice system because yes, that was hella sketchy. But y'all got that. I'm gonna let y'all take that.
Well, before we get there, I have something way more petty than that.
Okay.
I found this thing. I saw it online, and I was like, "Oh, this is me." So I'm gonna repurpose it. I am a Sona hater. I can't even get over it because I see Sandra's face. Okay, I'm gonna walk away from Sandra's face. All right. If Sona has 1 million haters, then I am 1 in a million.
1 in a million.
Okay. If Sona has 1 hater, I am not one. If Sona has no haters, I no longer exist.
What? Thank God Sona has a lot of haters because I need you to exist in this world. Thank you. I need you to exist.
And if the soap fandom is for Sona, then I am against the soap fandom.
Well, thankfully they're not.
And that's just really...
How long did it take for you to come up with that?
I just found it about something else, and I just heard it Sona.
You're repurposing it.
I repurposed it, yep.
That's right.
Nixon Falls was an awful storyline. And instead of placing Nina and Sonny squarely in Port Charles and letting us forget that, they keep having us have to relive these Nixon Falls fantasies. Nina believing that she knows Sonny more than Carly is laughable.
Yeah,
and I am not
crazy.
It was crazy, right? I'm not a Carson stan, have never been. Like, I think I liked Carson maybe the most when it was Tamara Braun. I don't like Sonny enough to stand any relationship he's been in. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm not, but that was ridiculous. Nina, you know him better than Carly?
Yeah. Here's why that pissed me off, because I think the writers are trying to pretend like the Mike elements of Sonny never existed prior to Nixon Falls, because that's not true. He's always had 2 sides to him, right? Which was made him the lovable mobster or whatever. He's always had those 2 sides, but it just manifested itself in Nixon Falls as just being that one side showing itself. So the fact that Nina says, I know all sides of you, you do not, because you only known all those sides for like 6 months.
Nina having hard eyes over a bad boy. I actually hated that Avi even said that. You're too grown. What's wrong with you?
And she was with Valentine before. Like before she was with Jack, she was with Valentine.
And was like side by side with him through his bullshit.
Oh, Franco?
Franco.
Yeah, her accomplice in kidnapping Ava's daughter.
Like, it was too much.
It was absurd.
And so, like, it just is not working. It's so dumb. And then, like, her being like, those punks didn't have a chance is actually something they had coming out of Nina's mouth. If somebody is a good couple, like, the difference between them and a good couple is that good couples don't have to keep trying to prove themselves. They just are. So if you look at Vanna, who we've said is like a standard, we don't have to keep being convinced that Vanna is good together. They just are.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to be convinced that Sante is good together. They have Kim, and then they live in their storylines. The writers are still trying to convince us that Nina can like live in Sunny's world or whatever. And the idea that Nina, I mean, I don't care. It's fine. I'm not saying that she's not suited, but the idea that she's more suited than Carly, who showed up in the bad bitch white dress to go take the 5 families meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we rewriting here?
The way that Nina was kind of like a giggly schoolgirl about Sunny's mob stuff was so gross. Like, I just was sitting there the whole time going like, I'm embarrassed. This is embarrassing. You are a grown woman. What are you doing? This is not dreamy. This is not swoony. And also, you sound ridiculous.
You sound ridiculous.
It was pathetic.
Damn. I mean, yes, it was absolutely pathetic. I'm the kind of person, like, I would rather have something that I only moderately dislike as opposed to like seeing something I hate every day. So like, I'm never gonna like Sona, but I would like for it not to be like this. If I'm gonna be forced to watch it and the show is not gonna do anything to like change it and they're gonna still be together, then be better than this. Don't have this grown ass woman making hard eyes at somebody because he's a mobster.
So in terms of moderately dislike, let's say like Chaylin.
I don't even like dislike Chaylin. I think that they have like improved, and I wish they would just be together because there's no reason for them not to be together. Moderately dislike, I don't know. Portia and Curtis?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I actually definitely dislike Portia.
Or Curtis.
Maxie. Yeah.
I dislike Curtis and Judith. I just moderately dislike both couples.
Right. Well, I'm not like offended by them. They have sometimes like they're wedged into good storylines, and like I like Portia as a character. Yes. I actually don't like either Sunny or Nina, and to have them together in such a bad story is just like there's nothing about them or around them that is interesting. The thing that they're in right now is grandparents' rights. Who gives a shit? Like, I mean, not saying, sorry, grandparents. I'm saying that storyline is not something that I care about on my soap. I hope that everyone gets to see their grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a good soap storyline.
No.
Grandparents' visitation rights. Oh gosh, sizzling. I'm on the edge of my seat.
What's gonna happen in court? Like, I don't even care about Wiley.
No,
poor Wiley.
Wiley's like probably my least favorite kid on screen. Where's Avery?
I love Avery.
Avery, Wheezy, Faison, so many.
Yeah, it's just bad. So anyway,
Charlotte.
Yeah. Well, Charlotte's in boarding school.
I know.
Or is she? Or is she like at boarding school to be trained up to be mini Helena?
Right, because I'm like, y'all saw what boarding school did to Spencer. Y'all taking
right. Y'all should take some lessons.
Like, we don't know better than this. Okay, Cassadines. So the other thing that's not working for me is like some of the writing around Trina. So let me like first say this. I don't want anybody coming for me. I think that Tabiana Ali is doing a great job. Excellent job. I think that she stepped into Trina effortlessly. And I really appreciate some of the beats that she takes because I can see the acting there. Like the choices that she makes that are like that are consistent with Sydney's choices, but also different to make Trina hers. And that for me is like a lot of skill. So there are things like, for example, when Spencer was saying something, like you could see on her face, she was trying to make it make sense because it didn't make sense. So the rest of the scene and the writing have been so bad, like it kind of left behind and it almost made you forget that she was like trying to like figure this out. I don't want them to turn Trina into Emily Quartermaine. I liked Emily. I think, Emily was great for that time, but Trina is so much more than her romance. Yes. Trina is so much more than Sprina. And to see her now in this way, that the way that we talk about her, or like the thing that she is the most concerned about is Spencer, is just too much for me. Trina is like career focused. Like this is the same person who walked up in Ava's gallery at 16 and was like, I'm working here. She is family focused. She has stared down mobsters. There's so much for her. And so if we're going to tell this story, like I actually needed to be told beyond Spencer not believing her and more about how the impact of this is on her as a character and on her family. So we are the paparazzi following Jocelyn and Cam and Trina around. It is unbelievable that they would have this story going on, like an heiress and a sex tape, and they are like hanging with the person who is the number one suspect and nobody's taking pictures of it. So where's that drama?
Right.
Where's the drama of like people dropping out of Ava's gallery because Trina's still there? Where's like the drama around her being in school? Like Trina has always been, and one of the reasons that we've loved her character is that she's been such a full character. And like we are losing some of that fullness, I think, for Sprina. And obviously, like I love Sprina. Spencer's my child, but I need more for Trina than that. And there's like this race blind writing that is just atrocious and it needs to stop. I'm going to read this thing that shout out to Lexi, who it is Lexi's birthday today, so happy birthday. But I had tweeted about Laura with the whole thing of, well, the system's going to work. Trina will have her day in court. And there's no understanding. We've watched too many procedurals as a society for them to like have this storyline go the way it is. And so it's not just that she'll have her day in court. That's not enough.
She shouldn't have been charged.
She shouldn't have been charged. And for a character and a person like nobody deserves charges of that, this is not deserved for anyone. So I don't want to get into that. But to have a character like Trina who's always done everything right, have to go through this should be more of a cause of distress for everyone. It's not just whether or not she's found guilty. It's distressing that she has to go through this. And so Lexi said, this is why I need the Trina facing jail time story to be over. GH is clearly going to fail at writing this in a way that isn't offensive. If they're hell-bent on writing this colorblind, then let's allow Trina to get out of this way everyone else does, through connections. I would have preferred a storyline where Jordan went out of her way and then got in trouble. Like, I just don't want to see Trina have to go through this if we're not going to tell a full and complete story. Now, if we're telling a story about the system and how it's fucked up and how, Spencer has benefited from nepotism and so has Cam from getting out of jail from Laura, that's different. But if we're going to tell it like this, let's just end it and let's figure out another story to tell. There's so much richness from this like set of young people to mine, from characterization to storyline. This is not it. And then to reduce Laura into saying some bullshit like, let's believe in the system, as if she wasn't married to Luke Spencer and isn't friends with Sonny Corinthos. What are we saying? Like, she actually knows better than that, and knows better enough to the point that she went to go get her grandchildren out of jail when Spencer hit a fucking cop.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't working for me. So all of that, including like the characterization of Trina, including the way this like story is being told, is just not working for me, and I don't think it's working to serve anything good for GH.
When they don't treat this responsibly, then it helps the audience believe that having Trina go through a trial is not a big deal.
Right.
Because so when they don't show how big of a deal it really is, that's why people are like, oh, it's no big deal. I mean, everyone gets, has to go to a trial. Everyone has to go through this. No, it is a big deal, especially for a young Black woman who had her whole life ahead of her, who is doing everything right, and then all of a sudden is accused of a felony. So how
heinous one.
And and then how that impacts her life is important, because she's not rich, she's not white, so everyone is going to automatically assume her guilt, and that needs to be shown. It needs to be shown how America treats and criminalizes young Black women, men, everybody, and how that's going to impact her, and just the idea of having this associated with her, having the charges, even if she isn't found guilty, even if she has the chance to prove her innocence, she shouldn't have to prove her innocence because she's innocent.
And so clearly innocent. And that's the other piece, is that at this point, we know that everyone knows she's innocent.
Yeah.
Like, Cam and Joss are not cooperating with the prosecution. Like, that in itself would be a reason for a DA to not pursue this case. Like, the two main victims are not cooperating and are going to testify on behalf of the defense. What are we doing here? The commissioner believes that she's innocent. All the cops involved think that she's innocent. So why are we moving forward? Like, we now know that Spencer knows. Like, it seems like the only person that isn't totally convinced is Nicholas.
What an idiot.
And who cares about him?
Even with Sam, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying it's the fact that they're not making any commentary about this, but we know that they all know that Esme blew up Ava's car, and she was never even like questioned as a suspect for it.
Right. And we have like Sam is in this story now, but there's no mention of her connection to Molly, who's working with the ADA.
Or her connection to Spencer.
Yeah, that's another
right, well,
thing.
that too. But it's like, so we have Sam going through Dante's phone, but not calling her sister.
Right. So they're gonna sacrifice Sante for what? And why isn't Sam talking to Molly about this, knowing that Molly supposedly took this job to be social justice warrior, and yet is doing the opposite? Why isn't like this could be a conversation that could be had with TJ?
It's just that every part of the story has been dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only thing that saved it is the acting. The only thing that saved it is like the moments of levity between, like, with Cam and Spencer, as like Sandra brought up. But from the moment that Esme brought out a burner and a fucking prescription pill bottle, we were all like, what's happening? And we've literally been like, what's happening every step of the story. And it is very high-key actually disrespectful to the audience and like the intelligence. And if we're gonna continue, like, I mean, I'm gonna talk about Days again. Like, Bo and Hope are coming back to Days. Bo did, but nobody cares because we're like, this is amazing. You don't even really have to tell me Like what happened? You can tell it could go on like nothing happened if you put Bo and Hope back on my screen, because you're telling a story that we want to see and that is a good story.
Why
And so
are
people,
doing it too?
yeah, people are more apt to like just accept, retcons if you're going to tell a good story. The problem is that GH keeps doing these like retcons and things that don't make sense and then telling bad story. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sandra, what's not working for you? That was I have a lot of things that aren't working.
I mean, obviously I co-sign all of that. So this is more like something I'm keeping my eye on. And it has a little bit to do with what's happening on the show, but it also has to do with the commentary happening outside the show, which I actually normally don't talk a lot about. I normally don't have like the meta fan conversation, or I don't do that as often, but I usually like to focus on like what's happening on the show. But the setup for this love triangle between Rory, Spencer, and Trina, I'm excited for the love triangle. I'm nervous about the setup. And like I was very entertained by all the antics with Spencer, Cam, Rory, them setting up this rivalry between Spencer and Rory. Like, I'm here for that. I'm here for petty, jealous Spencer. I'm here for Trina having options, especially such wonderful options as, these two very handsome young men. There's like the racial element piece of Rory being Asian and Rory being an Asian male romantic lead. And that's not something that we're used to seeing both on soaps, but really actually in mainstream media in general. And so I'm excited about that aspect, but I'm nervous about the way that it's being set up. And he's just been introduced. We don't know much about him. We've only seen him out of uniform once. And like a lot of his interactions are about him kind of like getting his footing as a rookie cop, which I'm already kind of like struggling with anyway, but I want to put that aside. And right now, I feel like he's kind of being set up as this foil to Spencer, which I don't have a problem with necessarily. Like in a love triangle, that makes sense, but I need more characterization from him, from the writers, and more grounding from him as a character, and for him to not just be built as a foil to this white male lead who is clearly like the person that you're supposed to be rooting for. And it means so much to me personally as someone who is Filipino, to see this like Filipino male lead be treated with like respect. And like I appreciate that he is like a viable, or I want him to be like a very viable alternative to Spencer for Trina. And I have some like questions about also the way he is being talked about online. There has been a lot of like fixation on his height that I think is really uncalled for. And like a lot of questions, like a lot of like jokes about his masculinity, his height, the bitch slapping piece, right? So like obviously Spencer didn't mean to hit him, but like this white man backhanding this Asian man just doesn't sit right with me. I didn't like that it was like a slap, right? And it was a backhanded slap at that. And so like I've just been seeing a lot of commentary from Sprina fans, and I understand it's a joke, right? And I understand like you're just like, it's one of those moments where similar to like how Trina is not just any soap heroine, right? Like Rory is not just any foil in a love triangle. And there are really like, and I'm not going to go into the deep historical nature of like white supremacy and like Asian masculinity, but there's a really deep historical connections to that, actually, to the point of like there were laws put into place to keep Asian men from getting married because they were afraid that white women would prefer Asian men to white men, a couple hundred years ago. And how like there are really big reasons why Asian men have been emasculated in service of like whiteness. And there are like issues within my own community that I'm not going to go too deeply into at this point, and I'm sure I'll talk about again at some other point. But as someone who is so excited to see him on screen, I really implore people to be very conscious of the way that you're talking about him. Like, yes, like let's have our rivalry. Let's like have our you can do like shit talking. I'm not saying you have to ship Rorina. I'm not saying that you even have to like Rory, but just be conscious of the fact that he's not just some like white dude. And that his representation on screen is actually really, really important. And in general, like Asian representation on GH is like nothing I've ever seen from them and from daytime in general, that we have so many Asian characters and that they're not all related and that they're not all villains either. Like we have people on different gradients of like characters, the type of characters, their professions, like this is all really important. And so for that to not get lost, and I feel like, and this is like, I'm still a Sabrina fan, right? I love Sabrina. I love Spencer. He's my child, right? But if I didn't love Spencer so much, and if I didn't love the history of the couple that's already established, like actually a Black and Filipino couple is the kind of interracial representation that I'm actually much more interested in than interracial representation where we're centering the desire of a white man. So no shame to anyone who, I think there's also just that as a society, we're not used to seeing Asian people like featured in the way that we're seeing them on GH now. And there's going to be a learning curve for viewers and for fans when talking about Asian folks. And so I just invite people to be mindful of that.
Yeah, I think I had something about Cinderella in there. I don't remember what it was.
Yes.
About Brandy,
oh my gosh.
Cinderella.
There's a little levity I'll inject here. So I had also tweeted about this, but I saw some commentary. It wasn't actually on my tweet. I didn't have to shut off the comments on my tweet, in part because people were, I think, trying to be well-meaning, but again, like we're just saying some stuff that I was like, how about I'll just let what I have said speak for itself. But I saw some commentary someone else had about Rory that I also didn't appreciate. I certainly don't need actually white people commenting negatively about Rory and his appearance. I don't want to hear it from anyone, but I definitely don't want to hear it from white people. But somebody said thought that he was biracial, white, and Black. And I was like, this is just another example of like, y'all really not used to seeing Asian people on screen, obviously. If you think this Filipino man is biracial, white, and Black, I was like, do you think this is Cinderella? Do you think this is the Brandy Cinderella? And like Victor Garber plus Whoopi Goldberg equals Filipino, like Prince Charming? I can understand how that's confusing to you, but that was colorblind casting. They weren't his real parents.
Which is colorblind casting that I loved because I did love Brandy Cinderella.
I mean, I loved it. Don't get me wrong. It's a classic, and I forever will hold to like, yes, obviously Victor Garber plus Whoopi Goldberg equals a Filipino prince. It's not quite, it's just not the parameters that GH has set how about let's say that. Yeah.
Because, you know, I, in my mind, have lots of Trina and Rory fan fiction that is like now Brandy Cinderella fan fiction.
And I'm surprised I haven't seen more edits, to be honest.
I'm sure it's coming.
Now that we've put that out there.
I want to say something about love triangles, though. I think so. I love a woman-centered love triangle, especially one where people are good. And like love triangles actually don't have to be like vicious to be good. I'm thinking about like outside of soaps. I'm thinking about if anybody is like a fan of To All the Boys series. Like obviously I was Lana, and you know, Lana is everything, and so I was a fan of Peter Kavinsky getting his girl. And there was something about seeing Lana and Jordan Fisher together, who played John Ambrose McLaren in the second one. And like it was still good, and it was still like he was a viable option where like of course you ship Laura Jean and Peter, but you were like, damn, I could understand how she would want to get with John Ambrose. That's okay. It doesn't have to be vicious. They weren't, I mean, they had like a little bit of a rivalry and it was cute, but it wasn't vicious. And like even on our soaps, it doesn't have to be that. I'm thinking if you know, if you follow me, you know I love Grey's Anatomy. I'm thinking about McVette and McDreamy back in like the very early days of Grey's Anatomy before Meredith got with Derek. And I still love McVette. Like when Derek died, I was like, oh, so we getting Vet back? What were we doing? I was ready, and I'm still ready, actually. And it was like, it was really more like that love triangle was more about Meredith's options. That this person is great. There's nothing bad about him. We got characterization from him. We knew who he was. We knew like why he loved Meredith. Like he was a fully fleshed out character, and he was an amazing option. But she just loved Derek, and that's where she went. And I'm a Sprina fan. Sprina is like what, you know, as much as Endgame as a soap can have Endgame is like my Endgame. But I, for a long time, been asking for Trina to have options, that this beautiful, accomplished young woman should only have Spencer as an option for herself. Like I would love for her to go on a couple of dates with Rory. I would love for us to like actually see her enjoy that and then choose Spencer in the end. That's if I was writing it, that's what I would want to see, because Spencer, for me, has not done enough to show that. I don't want Trina to shoulder the burden of fixing Spencer. Spencer got some stuff to do. I want to see him be jealous. I want to see him like pine for her. And then I want to see them together. But I want to see her like have some fun along the way. And we can have our teams, and we can not multi-ship. We can have all of that, but things don't have to be vicious to be soapy and fun.
Yeah. I am a fan of all three characters. And so I'm a fan of them having a story together. And of course I want Sprina together in the end. Of course. And I want everyone to have a good time along the way. I want a fun rivalry, and I want respectful dialogue. And, you know, of course, like I want my inappropriate jokes too and all of that. Like I'm not, we can still have fun and have like a soap rivalry, and we can be conscious of also just like, we've had such great, thoughtful conversations about race and gender already in the Sprina fandom. So I know we're perfectly capable of being thoughtful about Rory and Michael Blake Cruz, who is a very objectively, stunningly handsome man. And anyone else that has anything else to say about it, you can catch me outside about that.
I think he's very handsome. Every time I see him, I'm like, he's very handsome. He's also really funny, like as an actor. He's had like a really good sense of humor about all of like the jokes and things like that. And I also, you know, obviously, like I said, Sprina is my endgame, and I want Rory to be there it means a lot. I mean, it's not the same as Sandra, because like it means something different to see yourself reflected, but it means a lot to me to see diversity on screen. And so I want Rory to be a viable character and like a fully fleshed out character, so that when Trina eventually picks her, he actually is like still there and like ready to like hold and carry another romance, because seeing him as a romantic lead is also really important to me as well.
Well, are we ready to transition into some free-for-all hot takes?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't actually have a lot of hot takes. Except, I guess I do have one about Rory. I wish he wasn't a cop, but
Yes.
The hottest of takes.
I believe I said when well, first it's like I found out I was like, oh, he's gonna be Filipino, great. And then I found out he was gonna be a cop, and I was like, oh, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
I feel like on General Hospital, you have either three professions. You're either a cop, you're either a gangster, or you're a doctor. I'm like, there's other things you could be doing. You could be, there's so many things.
I'm
actually like a hot professor that wasn't Trina's professor.
Right.
You know, speaking of, I really hope that Chase continues to pursue this like Liz mystery that he's not supposed to. That Jordan was like, no, you're suspended and you're now the victim of a crime, so stay out. And I want him to like get back in it so he gets fired forever. I know that's not gonna happen, but that's what I want.
Agreed.
Another one, actually. Laura saying that she's trusting the justice system. And I'm like that the power intrigue is interesting, because yes, she did take advantage of that justice system to get her grandsons out. But her threat to Sonny was interesting, because she was like, I will have the DA prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. And I was like, since when do the mayors have the power to tell DAs what to do?
And if you do, tell them not to prosecute Trina.
Right. So I'm just thinking of it as my person that works for a city. I'm like, that's not right. She can't do that. Like, but it was just weird how the power of the mayor in Port Charles is just really interesting, because it's not exactly factual, but it is factual. So it's like weird. And I'm just like, Laura, stop. She needs to make sure that the city has budget and is providing city services. That's what she needs to be doing. That's what mayor is supposed to be doing, not getting in the middle of criminal justice prosecution. That's not in purview.
Tanya, it sounds like Laura needs a new chief of staff.
Right. Yes.
I nominate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
There's your walk-on.
Right. Walk-on.
And then you could like go into the PCPD and then run into Dante.
What's up, Dante?
Then we'll get Tante.
Oh, goodness.
I'm a multi-shipper. Sante and Tante. I would also say that for Laura, that was such a weird thing to say to Sonny. The whole threat of it all, I'm like, over Esme. Then I'm also like, wait, is Sonny a gangster now because he's gonna do something to this teenager? Who? I'm like, damn. The first time I had any credence to the theory that Esme might be grown, like beyond a teenager, is when she told Nicholas that she would cut his cigar, and I was like, this is a very Monica Lewinsky-esque reference. Is Esme old? Like, that was my brain. But I was like, the writers don't have that kind of long-term trajectory.
No, the writers are just old. But as you said earlier, they really lived up to their ship name. I was like, I have to look away from the screen. I feel so uncomfortable.
I'm like, when she put his hand on her cheek, I was
like, it was so bad.
Oh,
I was like, I want it to happen, but I don't want to see it.
I want it to happen off screen.
It was like weird. Almost the same. Well, I don't know. it was a little fascinating to see her flirt with Ryan a little bit, but for her to do it with Nicholas was like, it was still ew with Ryan, but it was even more ew with Nicholas for some reason. I
And
just did
Ryan's her
not.
dad.
Yeah,
I don't.
that's
Listen.
weird when you're like less disgusted by incest than you are about Nicholas. That is strange. Like, she could be with the older man. That's definitely possible. But we were more like, ew, than the idea of incest. That was crazy.
I feel like it's like part of it is that, you know, it's like with Ryan, we're like, oh, it's Ryan. You know, he's like depraved, right? Like he's literally a psycho. With
And
Nicholas,
she's a psycho too. So it's like, okay.
right? I mean, it's all still, I'm grossed out either way. But with Nicholas, I feel like what's disturbing about it is like, because you know of the impact it's gonna have on Spencer, but also like it's another time where I'm like, I have to dissociate Marcus's Nicholas from Tyler's.
Yes.
Not only because obvious reasons. Please go back and listen to any of our podcasts from the past, and you will hear all the reasons why. But it's just like I can't. The thought of like, I knew Tyler's Nicholas when he was Esme's age. And so it's just too much. It's again, I just have to pretend like this isn't the real Nicholas. It's the only thing. And I think for me, after this, if Nicholas really does go through with it, it's like he has to die. He has to die. He has to like go away. There's just no coming back from this. I can't. Which I'm fine with, honestly. I'm ready for Marcus to be off the canvas. So
it has to be universal condemnation by everybody. Like, yes, Ava's gonna kick his ass, but Laura has to be like, oh, you gotta go because this is disgusting. This is lower than anything you've ever done.
It's gotta be
everybody, you know.
It's gotta be like Cersei Lannister being like shamed, walking naked down the streets of the Red Keep on Game of Thrones. Like it's gotta be like shame.
I'm just still disgusted even thinking about it. Ugh.
Okay, let's move on. The only note I had for that is just is icky. That was my note.
Very appropriate ship name. Very appropriate.
Very. Oh my gosh, Aiden, my child, the brain trust of the Weber family. I loved him tricking Chase into the Ouija board. Chase, honey, you thought this was a science project?
From school?
From school. You thought this was a science project, honey.
You're a detective?
And like you just figured out that it wasn't a project when he said Franco's name?
Pretty dumb.
He's pretty dumb. I actually really need like Aiden to sit down, Chase, and Brooklyn and be like, what's going on here?
I just got the double entendre. So I was just like, pretty dumb.
Pretty dumb. That's the ultimate Chillin ship name.
Yeah.
But yes, I enjoyed the Aiden and Chase stuff just because, you know, Aiden's a genius. My child can do no wrong. He loves to cook and talk to ghosts. And Chase, sweet, simple Chase. The scatting, I should have been ready for it because I've been making jokes about him like scatting. Like I've been like, any moment now he's just gonna start scatting. And then when it actually happened, I was like, is this real? Am I hallucinating? I don't know what else to say about it. It was very strange. It was a very strange choice.
Strange is kind.
Yes. Well, I am very generous. I'm a very generous person. Who
Oh,
is
I mean,
mad?
I like how it was called scatty, even though it was not. It was more like a soundtrack. I don't know what it was.
A wop wop, a loop up, scalpel.
La bebop, dee-dop.
Blue dabadita. Template. Like it was.
Oh,
It was bad.
TJ was a good sport. TJ played along. He was a good sport. Who is mad at Nancy in wardrobe? Who's mad at her? Tanya, did you talk to someone in wardrobe? And you were like,
I wrote letters.
put Nancy in jazzy blazers. Like she had that one blazer last week and she's worn it before and I've always hated it. It has like the weird sleeve things and then there was the studs with the motorcycle boots. No. Nancy, I know you like to run your mouth. You need to apologize to someone in wardrobe because they're doing you wrong.
No, keep doing what you're doing, wardrobe. Keep it. As a matter of fact, start, recycling some of those blazers that you gave Brooklyn.
Put more buttons on them.
Bedazzle Brooklyn's blazers. Tired them.
Yes, pass them on because they're actually really appropriate for NLG. Thank you.
Yes,
I appreciate you so much.
Why would Brad go to the Savoy to pick someone up? It like, cause like that Britt was like, yeah, let's go to the Savoy and we'll find you someone. Why would Brad go to the Savoy? Port Charles is a big enough city that they should have a gay bar.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, are there eligible dudes at the Savoy?
I was agreeing that Brad probably should have a job before he starts picking up people at the.
That's true
bar.
too.
That is true. Brad knows. He's like, listen,
he got priorities.
I'm not trying to out here be a scrub. Okay.
Get out of jail for kidnapping. Find a place to live. Get a job. Get a man.
And Clyde on Days knows that because Clyde on Days also has been dating, but he has a job.
Yeah.
Why is Finn capable of listening to Alexis without giving unwanted advice and pushing in, but not with Elizabeth? Why is Finn absolutely the worst part of Elizabeth's storyline?
Why is Finn?
That's what
Thanks, y'all. You got to the heart of the heart just like that. Why is Finn?
Guardians of the Galaxy. I just had to shout that out. I'm sorry. Is there go? Where's Gamora? How's Gamora? Why is Gamora? Okay, all right, I'm done.
I love it. I loved Vanna in their matching blue. Forgot to mention that. So good. They looked amazing, as always. I also loved Harmony clutching her murder bag. It really reminded me of Nicholas Chavez clutching the book. And also the pillow when he was like sad at Windermere.
Why is that bag so huge?
I was thinking, what are the dimensions of this bag?
Like one little file. It's like a huge briefcase.
It's almost like the bag gets bigger every day. It's like a metaphor for the guilt.
Yeah.
The weight of the guilt that Harmony's feeling. I'm giving props a lot more credit than they probably deserve, but
yeah,
a very big bag. And she keeps leaving it everywhere.
Open
With
the file in her name.
With the file in her name hanging out. Like,
and
at least turn it over.
And looking at it.
And when you are burning files, you don't take them out of the bag until you have the fire lit, honey. What's happening here? I was very disappointed. I was like, wifey, you know better than this. And okay, this lover spat between her and Alexis is not gonna end well. But I'm very clear about who I'm siding with. I'm just saying. I've never shipped Alexa. I've never really had an Alexis ship before. And so she was not who was bringing me to the table. I rest my case.
Okay. I love that you rested your case. I have very few things. Because I've said a lot of it. Oh, Sunny talking badly about Brad. Please tell me how Brad is worse than Nina. Because it was like talking about Brad to Selena Wu. I really wanted Selena to be like, aren't you sleeping with the person who kept you away from your wife and kids? It just reminds me again and again why Sunny has no right to like even entertain being mad at Michael, because the petty shit that Michael is on is like what Sunny raised him to be on. And I'm real clear. I actually don't. I mean, whatever. I think that Willow and Michael are being petty, and I'm okay with them being petty. So that was like really weird. I'm like, why is Sunny even? And when does it come out that Sunny helped Brad out of jail? Because I'm ready for that reveal as well. Why do they have Laura shipping Neva and propping Sona? They really did Laura bogus this week. It was too much. It was just too much. I'm like, why? I want Spixie. And let me just say, I think that this version of Spixie will be different than any version that we've seen before. And that's what I appreciate. Because I think that sometimes when they redo couples, it's just like almost like a reboot of like the same shit with the same people, the same like parts and times in their lives. And with Spinelli and Maxie, it's actually truly different. And it'll be a different coupling than what we've seen before. And I think that would be really fun. So it's not like I think that people were like, oh, people are like agenda shipping Spixie. I'm not agenda shipping Spixie. I actually want to see it.
I was a Spixie shipper back in the day, and I was like annoyed with them. Like, I think everyone got tired of them, regardless of whether you liked them or not, by the end, because they had played out all the story that they could play out.
Right.
But you know, it's been a long time, and they're both different characters now.
They have kids. Maxie has a career. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so much. Like, they could be an older couple, and they should. I am so tired of this Liz storyline. I was like, this week, I was like, am I shipping Chaliz like unironically? I think it's mostly because there's not enough men in Port Charles, so I kind of want Chase to be a little pass around. I also was like, Chase and Portia?
Oh, yeah.
Chase and Jordan? Like,
you guys know what I want.
Chase and Portia.
Carly.
Oh.
I forgot about that. Woo, messy.
Oh, your Charlie ship.
Oh.
Turn him out.
I mean, you do know I love Chikel, so.
Of course.
I want Chase to be a little pass around, but I just like I like Chase's vibe with Elizabeth's kids more than I like Finn's vibe. I was like, why the hell is Cameron calling Finn? It was like the first time that Spencer outthought him this week. He was like, yeah, I call my grandma the mayor.
Right.
I appreciated like the difference with like grandmother from Spencer and grandma from Cameron. It was just like so very cute of them. But yeah, of course you called the mayor who's related to you. Why would you call fucking Finn?
Your mutual grandmother? Sir.
whatever. Get out of here. Anyway. But yeah, I really loved Chase and Aiden. I've actually really loved Chase and Cameron. So, sign me up for Chaliz if they don't hurry up with Chalin. I also hope that Chalin or like that Chase does not go back to being a cop. It can be full-time and Eddie Main to Brooklyn's music.
Yes. And like I hate being subjected to white men singing, especially with a
I do know.
guitar, but that I'm willing to sacrifice like in order for Chase to no longer be a cop. That's how much I don't want Chase to be a cop anymore.
Yes. Yes, I do know. I think that might be it, That might be it for me on the hot takes.
I just had one more, which is on the Chase and Portia line. Seeing her at his bedside and him like confiding in her and him being like, I don't know why. I'm just telling you these things. I was like, why show this to me if I can't have it?
Just like you just open up a different side of me.
I want it. Give it to me.
I just want to free Portia from this shit with Curtis. Please. And also this Curtis does not have chemistry with this Jordan. Yeah. And this Jordan has chemistry with everyone.
Yes. So it's not her. It's not Brooke. I'm just saying.
Give Curtis to Nina.
Fine. Oh, whatever.
Yeah, I guess they deserve each other, but
I saw a picture of Tanisha Harper, who plays Jordan, on Instagram and put it on Twitter, and people were like, queen, stunning, beautiful. They need to give her something to do that's not. You know what I said? I was dead. I was not. This time I knew Spencer Cass and I was my child. He was like, I'll sue the PCPD. I was like, I'll taught my child about defund. See, this is what I'm talking about. Yes. You're right. As insufferable as he was, I was like, yeah, you sure will sue.
And then, use the money a la Station 19.
Yep, Crisis One.
To fund Crisis One, to fund some public safety programs,
Yep. And also Jocelyn Jacks is, the president, or, no, she's not the president because, she's an ally, so she'll step back. She's like the secretary. No, because she knows that white people shouldn't have the money either. She's the secretary. She's taking the notes at the PCU chapter of the defund coalition.
Yes, I love it.
Cops off campus. Jocelyn Jacks. It's our next story.
Love it. Love that for her. And then she can fall in love with Selena Wu's son, daughter,
whatever.
Child of any gender.
Day friend. I'm ready.
Day friend. I would love Jocelyn to have a day friend. I feel like that's a good place to transition out of hot takes.
That is an amazing place. Jocelyn Jacks gets a day friend from the Wu family.
This is my clap. Dismissed. Something. I've spoken. So let's talk about what's happening this coming week.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start with everyone's least favorite storyline. And it's not least because that's actually Scat Daddy. Wiley's adults. Let's start with Wiley's adults. Since they were kind of like, that's where we were left hanging at on Friday. Although Friday was actually like a Thursday episode because of the preemption last week. So we're actually seeing a Friday episode on Monday. So hopefully it'll be like a little bit more exciting. But on Monday, we have Willow finds a visitor at her door. We know from the previews that it's Sunny. And the conversation takes a turn when Michael arrives. He's clearly very pissed at Sunny. Sunny's probably going to ask Willow to do something about letting Nina see Wiley, blah, blah, blah.
That's not smart.
Surprise, Sunny's not smart. We have Carly, Alexis's walking in on Harmony. lighting or trying to light her case files on fire. And then Diane and Alexis talking at Alexis's office. This is the Diane makes a compelling argument spoiler. So I think Diane is going to convince Alexis, like, it's finally time to ask Harmony to move out. Which leads us to Tuesday, in which Alexis and Carly find themselves in a dire situation. And I know there was a little soap opera digest article about this arc with Harmony and Alexis and Carly. It was actually not a very helpful article. I was upset. I was like, I could have guessed all of this just from the previews alone, but yeah, there's going to be a confrontation between the three of them. And Harmony's going to have like a, explosion. Or Ingo was like, is it an explosion? Is it an implosion? ... Sunny is upset by Dante's inquiry, and Willow is concerned about Michael's decision. And then we have a little break from them later on in the week. We'll see them again. Dante meets Willow and Michael at the Metro Court Gardens, and Willow tells Michael she doesn't want to be alone. Who cares? Then we have, we're picking also back up on Hat Daddy, or Scat Daddy, as some people are calling him now. Scat Granddaddy. So many different ways.
No Hat Daddy.
No Hat Daddy.
Hat Daddy, yeah.
His names are far more interesting than his storyline.
What about No Move? Because he ain't actually leaving. No leaving, Daddy. Because
I really love how the fandom was united on, like, why are people telling him not to leave?
right.
What's wrong with y'all? So for Hat Daddy, Curtis tells Marshall it's too late. I'm assuming that's because he's read the file and he knows what Marshall's trying to hide. So hopefully they'll finally fucking tell us, because I don't really care at this point, but can we just move on? While Sunny gives Curtis advice about his father, Portia and Drew worry about how Marshall's plans are affecting him. And TJ will also get an unexpected gift from his grandfather.
Clarinet-shaped stethoscope.
Scat
Oh,
Daddy.
cool. Oh, Skeetle Bebop.
A scat medical CD. And it's gonna be in the GH bookstore. We can buy it like we can like coffee.
They're not gonna give us the Nina article, but they are gonna give us that. Next there's gonna be a lot of Philomena and Brasha. Philomena being what Tracy likes to call Sasha. Sasha shows up at Nina's in the nick of time. Great. Sasha is blindsided at a deception celebration. So we know that deception is actually, they're putting on Brasha's wedding reception for some reason. It got mentioned in passing. I don't even know why it managed to stick in my brain, but it did a couple weeks ago. Nina shares her concerns with Brando. Sasha and Gladys make a horrifying discovery. Brando tries to calm Sasha. I was speculating that Sasha and Gladys find Harmony's next murder victim. I mean, of course, there's Schmaltz, but I was thinking it would be interesting if it was Sasha's drug dealer. That if that Harmony also used Sasha's drug dealer to get the heroin to shoot up both Neil and Neil's brother. So
I would like to interject just for a second, because I was listening to Port Misery earlier, and she was talking about the sheer amount of heroin that Harmony had access to, and I was like, damn, this is a lot of heroin in that big ass needle. I thought she was poor.
She used all her money. That's why
all her rent money on heroin.
Why she can't find a place to live. Oh,
should let Carly put her for the Metro Court.
True.
Well, if she's gonna murder the drug dealer, she can move into his place.
Her, yeah. Blue-haired person.
Oh, that's right.
There was, which also would be funny because on days there was also a murdered drug dealer. Maybe that was why it was in my head. Also heroin.
Heroin's pretty popular.
It's very popular with our daytime soap drug addictions.
What is Sasha addicted to?
Uppers, I think. And that's what she was doing before. She was doing uppers before. So I'm assuming that she's back on them. Because she was kind of like agitated, like she was on uppers. Who knows though? She could have graduated to something else. So, you know, at least she's using pills now though. She's not putting things in her nose. So
yeah.
There's a little bit of filler relationship drama. Maxie questions Austin's intentions, and then we see the continuation of Brooke and Chase's misunderstandings abound on Monday. One tiny Liz spoiler. After a disagreement with Finn, Lucy offers a suggestion to help Elizabeth. I hope it's a seance. Also, shout out to Aiden for calling Lucy that cosmetics lady. So disrespectful.
Cosmetics lady.
You know that cosmetics lady. Aiden, the respectful way to refer to her is Lucy Co. Vampire Slayer. Thank you. All right. Finally, the sex tape storyline. There's not spoilers actually for any of this until Thursday. So Thursday, Nicholas sets up a grand romantic gesture. We know what happens when fuckboy men set up grand romantic gestures for their wives that they're on the outs with.
Oh no. Ick.
You know, I'm just saying it doesn't usually end well. I guess depending on your point of view, if you're a mistress, I guess it does end well. I don't know. So I'm putting that out there. While alone at the gallery, Trina alerts to the sound of the door being closed. So someone shows up at the gallery while Trina's there, assuming it's Spencer, but who knows. Friday, Jocelyn arrives at General Hospital. I actually think that this is related back to Harmony, Carly, and Alexis. So I don't know what happens with them. I think people end up in the hospital though. And I do wonder if something like more serious happens to Alexis. I know that there's spoilers about Sam also going to GH the following week. And then Nancy's also out with I think maybe we might see her her temporary recast this week. So I'm like, does Alexis go into a coma or something? I don't know. I'm just speculating. Friday also, Ava comes to her senses and Esme eavesdrops on Spencer. And that's the week.
So is Taggart still running?
He's still running. I know we'll see him at some point because he was filming and there were pictures of him with Jordan and Portia, so we'll see him at some point during sweeps, but I guess he's still running. He's getting his cardio in.
I mean, he tweeted about being involved in the investigation, like he's somehow involved, but he hasn't done anything yet, so I'm like,
not good. I don't know what's happening over there. I'm also I'm also wondering, because I know that Esme had a lot of pills, so I'm wondering if she's gonna drug some more people.
Yeah, why not? I'm like, why hasn't anyone gone through her shit yet? You get her all the way to Windermere and you haven't gone through her shit? I'm tired. Yeah, and like the other piece is that So for the spoilers for the first week of May, I know we're not like, we don't usually talk that much about spoilers beyond the next week, but like the there's no sex tape spoilers at all. It's all like mostly Wiley's adults. But I wouldn't.
Boo, tomato.
Boo. What I will say about that's like actually hopeful is that usually what I've noticed at least is that the first week of sweeps is not the main story. Like actually in the past, Sprina has been featured in the first week of sweeps, like both in November and in February. And like they had their little story and then they weren't really a focus for the rest of the time. So I'm hoping that's actually what happens with like the Wiley's adults, like Harmony Alexis stuff, is that they kind of get the big pieces of that out of the way the first week, and then the rest of sweeps will be more about I'm assuming it's going to be primarily about the sex tape and maybe some of the Ice Princess stuff, although I don't know how much of that can keep moving without Charles Shaughnessy, and I'm not sure when he's coming back.
Oh,
Just speculation, because I don't know what the hell is going to actually happen in May sweeps. Who there would be no knowing.
Who knows?
Who knows? They could just go wild and only you talk about Wiley's adults the whole time.
Why would you say that? Oh my god.
Only thing, and or maybe it'll just be ELQ drama the whole time.
Oh my god.
No, the only ELQ drama I want is Michael and Willow being in the mayonnaise factory and it exploding. The ELQ mayonnaise factory,
I mean, yeah. R.I.P.
It's nice knowing you. So yeah, that's what we have to look forward to this week. I'm looking forward to Harmony going wild. I'm like, whatever she has in store, I'm sure it's gonna be very entertaining and messy. And you know what? I'm ready for Sasha to actually be messy.
Yeah.
Like, let's get this show on the road. And I do want to see, I really hope that there are Sprina gallery scenes. I'm such a clown.
I know, me too.
This is me putting on my clown makeup, and here's me putting on my clown nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
why did the Tears of the Clown song come into my head? Smokey Robinson.
Yeah.
Well, that was a very lackluster preview. Not you. You were
great.
exceptional.
I added as much luster as I could. I didn't have much to work with.
Yeah. You did. You were lusterful. They were luster lacked.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what a day.
What a day.
What a day. What a day.
There you go. Don't get us flagged now. Just those two words. Well, we are doing with the Finola Hughes Zoom. I'm very excited about it. Well, Finola Hughes and Amanda Sutton. I'm hopefully I ordered them, and if they come in time, I'm gonna be dressed like I'm in Bridgerton. I have some short lace gloves and a pillbox hat that I will be wearing. And we will have tea time during the Zoom.
When is it?
This is 4:00 tomorrow. Gotta dress my best for Finola.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with like a black tie dress code. I don't know what that's gonna mean for me, but I'm gonna be extra.
Right. Well, I hope you guys have fun. Hopefully I won't kill anybody tomorrow.
I'm just like picturing you like the episode of The Office where they were like learning how to do CPR.
As long as you don't cut off the dummy's face and put it on your own, I think you're gonna do great.
Do everything to the beat of Staying Alive.
Huh? Oh, we can't sing it though.
Yeah.
Well,
And on that note.
on that note, y'all, thanks for listening. We will see you next week.
See you next week.